Hey guys, McJeffries here, and welcome back to the McJeffries Network on OpenTTD. Now today I'm combining a few people's comments together to create one sort of super video. A lot of you have been getting in touch as you do, which is fantastic. Comments are starting to pick up again as well, which is good. There was a little bit of a lull after episode 100, and I get that. Everyone's waiting for the big 100, and then it comes and goes, and then suddenly everyone's like, what do I do now? And literally as I'm talking, a new comment comes through from George DeSilva, so I'll read that out in a second. But what we are going to talk about today. Let's open this up a little bit more. Right. So, just trying to find the right one. First of all, George DeSilva wanted a new service called the Great Westerner called the Guard City Millennium Express, which goes from Guard City Exchange to the western extremity of this main line you're currently watching. And yes, that's going to happen. That's actually the main reason why I decided to do this in today's episode. So Menpool Bridge is going to be completely rebuilt, as you can see right now. I'm doing this in time-lapse form, but I don't think I'll put any music in. I think I'll be able to talk for the full 20 or so minutes this video is about what's actually going on the screen. So, George DeSilva wants the new service. That will be put in. I didn't do it in this episode, but I will do it off camera. This episode is just showing you what the new line will be. Obviously, George DeSilva is technically in charge of this line, as it's his franchise. He wasn't consulted on the actual direction of the route, so I hope you're okay with that. But there's a couple of other things. Excuse me. I had a drink just now and it went down the wrong way, so you could probably even hear my voice. I'm still all still trying to clear my throat a little bit. It's one of those ones where I literally just took a sip before starting to record and started choking for my life. But I'm okay. I'm okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah. George, you will be consulted on future extensions and future services, of course. The services are mostly in your hands, although I do have the... This is for everybody, this isn't just for George, but if I feel like a service or a route is going to compromise the whole network, I will of course veto it. But I'll do it in a way where we'll try and come to a compromise rather than just me saying, no, can't do that, and then offer no alternative. So, what am I... Oh, I was going to say, what am I doing at this point? But I'm planning out the route. I will say this. A bit like how it used to go in Victorian times. I planned out the route quite carefully to pick out some main sort of towns, cities, villages, whatever. And then completely ignored the plan at certain points. For various reasons. So either the hill was too steep, or there was a better option to go over the water, or wherever it might have been. So bear with me if I do some strange planning and sort of avoid certain areas. But, you know, mostly I kept to the plan, which is always good. So, yeah, the new service will be the Guard City Millennium Express, and that will go from the new city, which we're connecting up today. At least for now, it will go from that new city. It might be extended in the future if George wants me to. Up to Guard City Exchange. Guard City Exchange, it's not going to be the main terminus for most of this franchise. Guard City Exchange is mostly for sort of stopping trains, local trains, but there is two platforms for express services. I did go ahead and do that off camera, so we could run some expresses. But Guard City St. Peter is going to be the main origin of expresses. But again, we'll have a conversation about that and come up with some more ideas behind that. Ben DeRoche said about the CSX Railroad. I've sort of done that. Sort of. A little bit, maybe. George Silver again says, could you have freight operating companies? Most definitely. One of the reasons I changed the livery of the trains is so people could see what the other colours sort of look like. I will be offering out freight companies, so if you want like a coal line, bear in mind in Britain you've got things like DB Schenker, you've got Freightliner, you've got DRS, Direct Rail Services I think they're called. I can't remember all the freight companies now, that's really embarrassing. I had them in my head a minute ago. Hang on, have I got a No. Normally I have a magazine to hand that has all the companies listed in, but I can't find it. But yeah, we have different operating companies for freight as well as passengers. So if you want one of those, drop me a message, or drop me a comment, I should say. Kind of the same thing with the franchise. If you want an existing one, then tell me you want that one, and I'll quite happily hand it over to you. If you want a new one, tell me what industry you want it to work in. So if you want it to carry coal, iron ore, you know, livestock, whatever it might be. And also tell me what you want your company to be called. You can, of course, end up having more than one type of freight. You can have coal, you can have iron ore, you can have bauxite, you can have them all combined together if you really want, because that happens in real life too. Containers, goods, all that sort of thing. But that's definitely up there on the to-do list. Robert Watts got in touch to say, I've been watching on and off since episode 70, and I'm still none the wiser on the scale and depth of your network. Please can you produce a network map, or at the very least spend some time on the mini-map? Recently there's been a lot of work on the nitty-gritty rather than fun, fast, exciting developments. And then he says, keep up the great videos, don't disappear like Zest Husky. Zest did say in his last video that he was going to be busy for a while, so I'm assuming that's why he hasn't uploaded in a while. If you're watching this, Zest, I have no idea why you would be, because I don't think you have done in the past, but if you are watching, hi, please start uploading again soon. We miss you. But Robert's right in the utmost respect as well. You are right. I've done a lot of nitty-gritty. That could be another reason why viewing figures haven't been great, because I've sort of been picking up on individual comments and doing small projects. Whereas today, as you can see, a whole new main line has been built. Quite a long one too. In terms of depth and scale of the network, I don't have the resources nor the time to create my own network map. If Reedy wants to have a go at creating one, you don't have to, of course, but if you'd like to, you've got the save file. I can send you the latest version of it if you need it, but just trying to think. If you go on a train, so when I get on Govia Northern, Great Northern, sorry, not Northern, Great Northern, out of King's Cross to where I live, and they actually have sort of like a very tube-style map version of their stopping patterns. I think they include the Thameslink ones in there as well, just so you can see where the trains go. So I guess we could create a version of that if, as I say, if Reedy's able to do that, because as I say, I'm really not able to do that for loads of different reasons. But yep, this is a fun, fast, exciting development. Wednesday I plan on doing another one. Although once again, time is very against me right now. Tomorrow I have lectures, Wednesday I have lectures. Basically I have lectures Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays at all different times of day. So actually having time to sit down and record videos, not getting as much as I used to. I did say that before I went back, so I did plan ahead in that sense. So I was quite smart about it, but even so, it is a bit difficult. So if videos do sort of miss upload times, then that's why. It's me still trying to create a video, but not necessarily being able to get it out when I'm supposed to be. Hopefully that's alright though. But yeah, I'd like to do big projects again. A lot of people were asking for freight, and that had to be implemented into existing lines. There is a brand new freight line that I built, and this is linked into a comment from Frank Berry, funnily enough. Could we see some oil trains? Here's an idea I had. Use ships to bring oil off the rigs, transfer it to trains to take to a refinery, then use container trains to take the goods from the refinery to one of the cities, possibly even creating a container terminal for the city to handle them. And I did reply saying I'm one step ahead of him, and I was, indeed. And literally as that comment came through, I just finished building an oil and chemicals line. So the Great Westerner line has an oil field just off one of the coasts, so that's connected up. Ships bring the oil to the land, to a docks. They get on board a train and they get taken to a refinery which is on the northwestern main line out of GSG. From there, chemicals train takes the chemicals that are created down to Rentil City Processing Centre, because it's the aluminium plant, I think it is, that turns bauxite into metal. It also needed chemicals, so that's where I got the idea to link all that up from. And then obviously the metal is taken on towards the metal fabrication plant, and then that will create goods which I'll bring into probably GSG, because it's quite easy to do it that way. I can use the electric EMUs then, running at 125 miles per hour down the express tracks. But yeah, I like the idea of a container terminal and sort of lorries getting dispatched from there over to where they need to be. Finally, as if George de Silva had read my mind, if some stations get congested with trains, you could build some excursion platforms, like Guard City St George, e.g. at Guard City St Michael's / St Peter, if it ever gets full. These platforms could be used to cope with demand and provide extra capacity, and they do not have to be part of the main station area. I get that. That's kind of what's happening at Waterloo at the moment. They're extending the station by converting the old international platforms back into domestic use, which is something they really should have done back in 2007 when Waterloo International closed. That would have made a lot more sense. Instead of leaving that building basically derelict, they've had to pay to maintain it so it doesn't fall apart, but it's not being used. It's a real waste of money. It's a good example of wasting resources. You've got this huge station building. Bear in mind, Waterloo is not just one of the busiest, it's not just the busiest station in London, it's one of the busiest in the country. And there's 5 platforms just sat there not being used. And they constantly were being asked about it, and they're saying, nope, we don't need it, we don't need it, we don't need it. And now suddenly they're saying, yes, we do need it, and we're going to spend an absolute fortune bringing it into use. And it's just it's a real irritation of mine. Most things to do with the Eurostar at the moment are irritating me, as you might recall when I said about Eurostar, the original Eurostar sets being scrapped. Massive waste. Absolutely massive waste. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I will be... Guard City Exchange could do with some work done to it anyway. Obviously high speed is coming in soon. When, I'm still not 100% sure, because I'm still working on the main network as a whole. But high speed sort of has the majority of the platforms there. Non-high speed takes the rest. Currently there's 6 platforms for non-high speed lines. There's 2 express, 2 semi-fast and 2 fast. 2 semi-fast and 2 stopping. One of the stopping is currently used. You might remember there was a service that terminated at Dartbourne. There were 2 services that terminated at Dartbourne. One we dealt with on camera. I found out there was actually a second one, which hadn't been dealt with, which was causing all kinds of problems. And I was originally tempted just to extend that to GSG, and then I thought, why not use the line that's currently only being used by Class 180s? So I did that. I built a new link. I think I might have shown you this actually already, but I built a new link into GSX and created a stopping service that goes to Guard City Exchange, and that runs all the way down to Hadborough Bay. So that's pretty cool. It's another little connection. I am going to use more connections here on the network now. In fact, did I have a... No, I think I was planning to put a freight service through that line as well. I just didn't get round to it in the end. So that's probably not going to happen for a little while yet. But who knows? Who knows? So we're currently reaching our new western terminus. We've had to go a really long way round to sort of get there. We've headed east a lot, we've headed north and south and all sorts of different directions, but we are starting to found a new station. Now I kind of, because this main line has been left as it has been for so long, I kind of wanted to experiment a little bit with new station designs. So originally with this new terminus, which I forget the name of right now, I just went for the block design like I normally do for my main stations. And then I sort of started thinking, on YouTube a lot recently, I've been watching sort of driver's eye videos, and I don't want to use the word train spotting, I hate the word train spotting, but they were basically train spotting videos at main stations around the country. So there's one at Doncaster, there's one at York, there's one at, oh god, I can't remember where it was now, Crewe I think it was. And you notice that, okay, a lot of the platforms at these stations aren't necessarily in use anymore, and there's huge gaps where tracks used to run and things like that, but platform lengths vary considerably at these stations. Oh, there was one in Darlington as well. I forgot about that. There was an emergency stop one in Darlington because some idiot thought it would be a good idea to pull the lever and just leave the train and walk off like there was no problem. You should go check that video out actually. It's very very interesting to see how the staff actually handled the situation, because the guy basically tried to escape and they collared him. So, yeah, good to see someone get their comeuppance. Anyway, they all have varying platform lengths and they have varying platform styles. So originally I went for the block design, but I was trying to mix up the eye candy a little bit. So I was putting CTAs not necessarily right next to each other, and same with benches and schedules and all that stuff. And then because I didn't get the track profile right coming in and out of those tunnels, I thought this is ridiculous, it's not going to work. So I actually went back and started again. And I like the new design. I think for main stations in the future, I'll be keeping the new design. At the moment, I'm still working on the old design, trying to come up with express platforms and things like that. But I kind of wanted this station to act as a terminus as well as a through station, no matter what track you come in on. And obviously, at the moment, that's not possible. So here you go. Get rid of the entire thing and start again. So I start with the crossovers, and then I start opening it up to more platforms. And I sort of stumbled across this by accident when I suddenly realised actually I could stagger the signals and come up with a new sort of platform design. So you can start to see which platforms are going to be used for local trains, which ones are going to be used for semi-fast, which ones are going to be used for express. And it starts to make a lot more sense. And in fact, it looks so much better. In every single way, it looks so much better. And I'll be doing something similar on the other end of the platforms as well, but we're not going to be building those in today's episode. So what I did was, as you can see, all these varying platform lengths. I then went back to the HSTs, the Virgin liveried HSTs that we have running on this route at the moment, and redid their route entirely, which you will see me do in a second. There's another little project that I started on this network as well. This is me building the depots. Again, I started off with a design, didn't really like it too much, so I went back and changed it a little bit. But as I said, this is kind of my experiment mainline at the moment. Nothing really revolutionary is happening. Not really. I mean, I think the most revolutionary thing I've done on this mainline is something that I do towards the end of this episode. But I've started doing it for stations like I'll use one that I can remember. So we've got Laughing Way, which is on the Great Easterner. Great Easterner? No, really cool Great Eastern line. Again, another franchise holder. That runs from GSJ to Pronworth. Laughing Way Station is a bit of a bottleneck in some respects, because there's lots of trains trying to go into 4 platforms. So I'm going to come up with a new one where all express trains stop on one platform, running south, and then they stop on the opposite side going north, and all the locals stop on the outside tracks. And I started that experiment on this line just to see how well it would work with waypoints and things. And actually, it's not bad. It works quite well. You can see here I'm grabbing the HST and starting to redo the entire route. Guys, it's really amazing to see how fast I can scroll on the game in time-lapse mode. Because in normal speed, it feels like an age to actually go around and do all that. Following the line across. You follow the big brown line. It's quite an advantage sometimes to have the game pause when you build, so it doesn't all get overgrown again. But right now you can see I'm messing around with waypoints and making sure trains stop. As I say, this is not the Great Millennium Express. This is just an HST service. It stops at some of these 2-track lines, stations, but majority of the time it just goes straight through. I tried to choose like a random stopping pattern rather than just every main station, because that's not how it works in real life. Some trains go through Peterborough, for example, whereas some trains stop. Same with Stevenage, same with places like Doncaster. There are trains that go straight through the middle. I used to think every express train stopped at Doncaster, it's a main station, but that's not the case at all. Some trains leave King's Cross and their first stop is York. So that means they go straight through Stevenage, they go straight through Peterborough, they go straight through Doncaster. And yet there's some trains that leave King's Cross and they stop at all 3 of those stations on the way to York. And then obviously there's ones that terminate at York, there's ones that terminate at Leeds, so they stop at York to go across to Leeds. There's some that terminate at Newcastle, there's some that terminate at Edinburgh, there's some that go on from Edinburgh and go off up into the Scottish Highlands, up as far as places like Aberdeen, which is not in the Highlands at all, but I don't know why I said Highlands. I think Falkirk is the other location they go to, which is also not in the Highlands. Again, I don't know why I said Highlands, it's a really bad example. But I'm going to try and replicate more real-life stopping patterns as well. So there'll be HSTs that kind of stop at random locations, but are kind of strategically randomly chosen, if that makes sense. If that makes any kind of sense, which it probably doesn't, to be fair. But there's the new route. Quite a lot of stations now compared to the existing. I will be adding more trains to this service as well, because 4 just isn't enough. The whole 2-track thing, as you know, it's something we started on the line from, can't remember the name of it, is it Flubra? Down to Sladborough, and it worked considerably well actually. I can even add freight to it and I imagine it would work. But it's nice to see it all functioning and working properly. Now we are coming towards the end of the episode, guys, so I'm going to very, very quickly round it up here. If we do end up in a black screen, then so be it, but this new service is going to be replicated across the entire network. Big stations are going to start having these new waypoints added in just to try and create this new stopping pattern kind of thing. The other experiment is what I'm doing here with this waypoint. It's so that the train actually slows down before it goes into the depot, because entering the depot at 100 miles an hour is going to be a bit extreme. So just before, there's an approach waypoint where it slows down to 45 miles per hour, just to make sure that it's realistic speeds. That is something else that I'll be replicating across the rest of the network. But yep, I'm going to wrap it up now, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series. Drop some comments down below for ideas of future episodes. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, you should also click the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to my channel, thank you guys for your continued support. And until next time, perfect timing, I will see you soon.